I said, I've already been to India. Why do I need to go back again? But they begged me and begged me. And finally said, I'm getting married. Could you come and marry us? You don't say no to that. I mean, by the way, when you're running a business, how do you know if the business is prospering? You look at the money, don't you? The bottom line, red, black, profit. How do you measure the fact if your ministry or your church is prospering? Some people think that it's how many baptisms. It's a minor measure. It's certainly not a major measure, because if we baptize a lot of people and they don't even know what they believe, you still aren't anywhere. It is a measure. You know how you do it? Influence. The more influence your ministry has, you are being very successful. Dollars are influence. If you want to measure the prosperity of your church and your ministry and your personal growth, spiritual growth, how much influence do I have with my neighbors? The more influence you have, the greater impact you will have to help them spiritually. When they have a problem, they will come to you. So the more you help them with their problems, the more you're in their lives, the more they consider you part of their life, that is success. Because when a crisis hits, they know where to get answers. And God will bring a crisis in their life, and they will come to you for an answer. And you will have, why? Because you have influence. Which is why I want you to call me Uncle David. Understanding? Huh? Because if I'm your uncle, I have more influence with you. Huh? I'm giving you my secret. I like to be called uncle because I just love being your family. But the bottom line is, I want influence in your life. Because if I'm related to you, you'll come to me and say, I got a problem, Uncle David, what can I do? You'll ask me faster than you'd ask Pastor Gates. Huh? Wouldn't you ask your uncle a little bit better? It breaks down barriers. That's called influence. That's what I do. I try to maximize influence everywhere I go. That's why the aviation programs are so influential. That's why the television programs are so influential. Why? Because that's what we try to build. We try to evaluate our business every time, our ministry. How much influence do we have? Great growth and influence. Success. It's hard to knock down an influential program. When people love you, appreciate you, and you're part of their lives, they will stand up and protect you when the enemy comes in like a flood. So, can you marry me? Yes. So I bought a ticket. I went and applied for my visa well in advance. When I was in the Philippines, and the consulate said no. They denied me my visa. Oh, that's interesting. This time they actually said no. So I told them, I said, I'm sorry, I can't come. They won't give me a visa. He said, try again when you get to Australia. So I went back to the same one I had last year. And the lady said, well, hello, Mr. Gates. You need to renew your visa? Absolutely, give it here. Boom. Come back tomorrow, you have it. So she said, I read your book, Mission Pilot. I really liked it. So they gave me the visa, and even though I was denied the first time, I got it the second place. And I went to India. I really didn't want to go. I got to tell you, going to India has its problems. You get there at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. The time is way off. And then you have to go in this vehicle a couple hours, and then you sleep in somebody's house, and then you get to the other place. But somehow, India has another problem. All this paganism that goes on, it really gives me a culture shock. I'm used to working in third world countries all over. I don't have a problem. Africa didn't give me a problem. South America didn't give me a problem. But the moment I go to India, I get tremendous culture shock. It's so different than anything I've ever been to. Did you know that 30,000 young children are kidnapped each year to be sold into sexual slavery in India? 30,000. A friend of mine who runs an orphanage in India told me that they brought a girl to him. She was kidnapped from her home, sold into sexual slavery. The guard had mercy on her and told her, I'm going to leave for a few minutes. You run out this gate and you run to that house. They will help you. She ran out, got there. They took her back home. You think that would be good enough? Now she's back home? No, sir. These people started circling her home day and night. That's our property. We paid cash for her. She's ours. It's not that the kidnapped girl is back home anymore. No. They're going to take their property back. And so they put her in the orphanage in order to protect her, because it had high walls. What if you lived in an aggressive country where your children were totally targeted to be stolen and sold as slaves? Can you imagine the horror of something like that? I can't even imagine the horror of something like that. The scars of young children. It's better that a stone be tied around their neck, Jesus said. So I went to India, and in all the idols and all the paganism and everything, but the first thing they said was, could you preach to our pastors again before the wedding? And I asked him a question. I said, I need to ask you a question first. What happened to those girls I talked to before? Oh. Let me tell you the story of those girls. The first trip I made, I was sitting in my bed at 6 o'clock, having my devotions. Excuse me, Brother Gates. Yes. There are 4 girls here to see you. Would you be able to come out to the porch and talk to them? I said, yes, but can I finish my devotion first? Yes, when? Give me half an hour, please. Can I wait half an hour? Yes. 15 minutes later. Brother Gates, could you come out in a minute? Well, you've only given me 15 minutes. Can't you give me half an hour? Because I won't have a chance again. Okay. 15 minutes. They really need you urgently. Oh, it's urgent. Well, let me tell you what the problem is. You see, these 4 girls, every Sunday, they're baptized into our church. They're Christian girls, but their family members are not Christian. They're teenage girls, 14, 15, 16. And for 2 years, they've been members of our church. But because they are so poor, their fathers and their uncles take them every Sunday and sell them to dance without clothes before the idols. And the men throw money into the little pots, and they have to dance like that. The police come and arrest them and take them to the police station and abuse them there. And these are Christian girls, but because they don't have any food to eat, this is the only way the family has to earn money. And so they would like to talk to you to see if somehow you can help them with maybe finding a way to make a living so that they don't have to be sold every Sunday. What if it was your daughter? What if it was you? What a terrible situation. So I said, I didn't bring any money. I'm always broke. Everything that comes in every month, we always put it into the ministry, and we'd reach the end of the month and we've put everything into the ministry. We barely survive every month, but we're always growing like crazy. It's a crazy thing. God always keeps us desperately poor, but growing like crazy. We just voted to open 2 more schools in Bolivia, 3 more schools in Guyana. And none of the schools have enough money, but we just finally figured out something. If you're born, you grow. So we are always creating new children projects. And they always grow, and they always eventually succeed. But first you have to be born. And you don't have to have any money to be born. You just are born weak, cold, and ugly. You remember that principle. You look for a piece of property. Somehow you get the piece of property. Then you start. Next thing you know, you get missionaries and volunteers to come in. Next thing you know, you have a building. Next thing you know, you have students. And next thing you know, you have a beautiful campus. It's not based on what you have. It's based on the need. So I said, I don't have any money, Lord. What am I supposed to do? And I put on my jacket and I put on my clothes and I realized these things were, the pocket covers were stuck in here, so I reached in here to pull them up and, what's this? An envelope. I didn't know I had an envelope in my pocket. From a dear Brother Gates, I'm a Romanian widow. I didn't have a chance to talk to you, so I just slipped this into your pocket as you were leaving the church. From Australia. $2,100. By the way, I have to tell you, I believe God has raised up Romanians for a special purpose on this earth. You know why? When communism opened the gates of Romania, they went everywhere like popcorn. Explosion across Europe. And they don't compromise on church doctrine or music. Very beautiful heavenly music. We call it musica cerească in their language. And they have helped to stabilize the church in the countries of Europe where compromise is everywhere, where it is acceptable for church members to live in adultery with no problem, for young people to live together before they get married, no problem.